told us at 50 we should be in rocking chairs, holding grandbabies, child. We should have on those muumuu dresses, not the ones that we wear making our ass clap. We talking about the ones that was buttoned down with the pockets in the front that still made your ass clap, but somehow made you still look older. Today, my guest looked at all of that and said, I'm going to choose myself because I don't know what the hell y'all doing. And she's here to talk to us about how she came to that decision and what's going on. I am excited to talk to Ms. Angela Parker. Not only does she have her own podcast called Unapologetically 50 Plus, she also is just one of those women who truly believes that everything we do in life, we should enjoy it. It should be authentically us. It should be something that we look at and we say to ourselves, damn, I want to do that too. Versus, damn, you did that? Listen, when we talk about having people on the podcast who are vulnerable, who are open, who understand what it means to not only succeed, but to fail forward, to have a legacy that they want to leave behind that looks like the life that they truly see when they close their eyes, this conversation's for you. Bring in the music.
This ain't your average healing chat. It's healing through conversations with me, Loveli Brown. Real talk, deep healing, zero fluff. Welcome to the Healing Through Conversation podcast. I'm your homegirl, Loveli Brown. Today I get to speak to Ms. Parker. I spoke to Ms. Parker a few weeks back and we just kicked it off so wonderfully. And I think that part of it is that when you get to meet somebody who gives you not only authentic energy, but they are a part of the bridge that you're building towards being a better version of yourself, seeing yourself as a whole person, supporting women and supporting other Black women podcasters. This is a very small space, and we are the pioneers in a lot of ways that we don't understand. But what I loved most about Ms. Parker was that she decided that not only was she going to redefine what midlife looked like, she was not only going to reclaim her joy and stand in it 10 toes down, she was going to live unapologetically. And her podcast, Unapologetically 50 Plus, is a space where we talk about every diaspora of a woman, a Black woman, and what it looks like not only to survive, but thrive that space. So, Ms. Parker, thank you for being on the podcast and welcome to the show.
All right, Miss Lovely, Miss Parker.
Ms. Parker.
How you doing, love? How you doing?
So good. I'm so blessed. Thank you for being a part of the podcast and bringing your energy and your kindness to the podcast. We found each other on LinkedIn. Who knew that LinkedIn was a safe space? Because it's crazy right now. There's some things happening over there.
Oh, I must be away from all that because I don't know what's happening, but we'll talk offline. I need to know the scoop. So.
You don't want to know. It's not safe over there. It's scary. I'm like, I feel like now on LinkedIn, you got to say, I'm married. Like, no, seriously. Like 100%. Like, in it. Like no. Because it's crazy. But please introduce yourself. Tell us more about you and how you even decided that you wanted to start a podcast. What led you to this space?
Oh my gosh. So my name is Angela and I am the founder and CEO of and host of Unapologetically 50 Plus. And it's not just a podcast. It's not just a platform. This is a community that I am building. And when I started looking around at what existed for women in our age range, I kept seeing like the same content. I mean, it was kind of shallow and it was such a narrow representation of what women 50, well, I say 45 now, but 50 and older, what was really out there. So I thought, we deserve more interaction. We deserve more being out there and letting folks know that women, us in our 50s, like I said, I'll say 45, but primarily even in our 50s, we have lived, we have survived, we have evolved. And I really didn't see a whole lot of folks telling that story in a way that felt real. So that is what Unapologetically 50 plus, that's how it came about. It's a space where we can show up in our full selves, tell our truth, and remind each other that this chapter, this next chapter, I want it to be actually the best one yet. So that's where it started. My husband and I, even going further back, I came about the podcast because I was let go of a job, and we'll get more into that, but I was, in healthcare for many years, 20 plus years,
Mm.
kept getting laid off, kept having to start over again. And then this final time that I got laid off, I was like, I don't know if I can keep doing this. So my husband and I, started a podcast and was basically it was relationship content. And then my husband being a musician got really busy. And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna have to figure out how to do this, by myself, doing it solo. So that was awesome. We'll get into it more later, but that was also the my entry into doing a podcast. First it was with my husband, and then, I had to do some adjusting and some changing, and that's how I came up with Unapologetically 50 plus. But like I said, we'll get more into that.
I love that. I love that. And I love that both of us had the same stance. We were not interested in being in front of the camera. We were like, listen,
Oh,
listen.
oh.
I mean, and it wasn't a self-esteem issue or anything like that. It's just that I think when you are used to helping build something,
Mhm.
you are always in perpetual movement, and you are always coming up with the ideas and trying to figure out how to level up. So being in front of the camera means that you have to sit still. And the sitting
Yeah,
still part is like, well, what do we do now? Like, how do we make this make sense to anybody? On top of the fact, like you said earlier, I think being a pioneer in spaces where you allow your age to be known, because so many people are afraid to say that they are 45, 50, 60. Like, it's all a lot of people have been indoctrinated to believe that they're already dying after they turn
yeah,
45 or 50. And
right,
so when you get to this space where you are not only talking about your age, you're talking about your age in a positive way,
right.
there is a lot of mm, I don't want to say backlash, but there's a lot of negative connotations that come with aging. And then none of that is from women, majority of the time, who are living a great life.
Right,
What have,
right.
like, some of the women that you've spoken to in your podcast, what have you come across? Like, what bridges most of the women who come on your podcast and talk to you about the life that they are creating versus the life they were forced to live?
Um, so I'm sorry, what are the bridges?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think one of the bridges is that they finally looked in the mirror and said, what do I want? Where is this going? We've done everything that we're supposed to do. We got the degrees. We got married, some of us had children, and I've had some women on there who haven't had children or aren't married, but they've done what they were supposed to do. What society said, this is what you're supposed to do. So they did all that. Like we were talking off camera, they've helped, they're constantly helping other people. And they finally said, what does my next chapter look like? Not what someone tells me my next chapter should look like, but what do I want? What do I envision myself? What do I envision for myself in this next chapter? And so those have been a common thread amongst the women that I've talked to, not just on my podcast, but in my coaching. That's the common thread. I don't know what I want. I've been giving to so many people for so long and have been doing what I was told that this is what you're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
This is the good life. These are the steps you need to take. And, we learned that. It wasn't like you said, it was indoctrinated into us to believe these are the steps that you take in order to have a good life. And I'm not saying that that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that once we've had all the things that we're supposed to have, and we've done all the things that we're supposed to do, what's next? Is this it? And that doesn't mean you're being selfish. It doesn't mean you're being ungrateful. You're just asking, is there more? And if there is more, how do I get to that more? How do I reprogram myself to know that there's more out there and that I can go forward for it and move forward without feeling like I'm letting everybody down, or I feel like folks are going to look at me and say, well, what are you doing? You are 50 plus. Why are you doing that? And like you said, coming on the podcast and doing my podcast, my age, I've always said, "Hey, this is how old I am," or "This is," and I don't have a problem with that, because I'm not ashamed of it, or I'm not going to let, you know, folks, if they're listening in or if they make a comment, I'm not gonna let them determine how I feel about myself at age, because 'cause I'll be 60 this year. I'm not gonna let someone else determine how I'm supposed to feel and what I'm supposed to be doing because I'm age 60. I'm about to be age 60. I'm not gonna let someone else determine that factor for me, and that's what I want other women to know. Don't let someone else, whoever that is, determine how you're supposed to live your next chapter.
No, I love that. And I love the idea. And I always say, whenever I'm speaking with women or having really vulnerable conversations, I always say, before you start telling me all the things that's wrong with you, I want you to put two things into columns. Column number one, the things that you hear that belong to you. And column two, the things that you hear that belong to other people. Because I can promise you that majority of the time, you are just regurgitating all of the things that people have said to
Yes.
you about you that they
Right,
felt that you should do for you.
right.
Very rarely do we allow ourselves until we break free and figure out what thriving actually looks like for us. And we
Yes.
start to hear our own voices. And so when you can step away from other people's comments, tones, and practices of life and really figure out who you are as a person,
Mhm.
the things that you like that may not fit and may not align with your grandmother, may not align with your mom, your sister, your best
Right,
friend, your husband. What do you like? Who are you outside of all of your titles? And
right.
yes, and I feel like 50 is that moment. For me, it felt like it feels like puberty. All of the things that are changing in me, not only hormones with perimenopause and menopause, but also just pausing and realizing that I'm at the place in my life where if I don't do what I want to do, if I'm not intentional about it now, then when?
Then
Right.
when?
And so that was a thing that I really had to think about. So when you talk to your clients about midlife transformations, what does that look like just not only from the outside, but really on the inside?
Well, because every woman is going, of course, going through something different, and her midlife transformation is going to be different, we first have to figure out where she wants to go. What does it look like? What does her next chapter look like?
Mm,
And I, of course, can't answer that for her. So we go through some steps and some I'd say homework to for her to kind of just figure out what does that look like? What do those next steps look like for you? And where do you want to be? And I always say you don't want to blow up. I'm not talking about blowing up your life. I'm not talking
mm,
about, you know, all of a sudden, "I'm out of here, goodbye," and leaving the family. No, I'm not talking about that, but I'm talking about making some changes that's really going to impact how she sees herself. And again, I talk about the reprogramming of our minds because we have been told this is what we're supposed to do
mm,
by society, by our mothers, by our grandmothers, because that's what they were taught. So it just looks like, let's first start with who you are now, not who you were 20, 10, 20, 30 years ago, because as you know, the lovely that in her 20s is not the lovely in her 50s.
thank God.
So, right? So there might be, there might be goals or aspirations that you had in your 20s that, yeah, you might want to pick up or try now that you're, maybe a empty nester, maybe, recently divorced, whatever. Maybe you're still married, but still there's things that you might want to pick up. But then again, you might look at it and said, you know what, that was nice when I was in my 20s, but that's not what I want to do now. Okay, so what do you want to do now? What does that look like?
Mm-hmm.
And so we go through different homework, and we go through different I'm trying to grasp, and that's the other thing about turning 60. Like, what is that
Baby, the
word?
brain fog
What's
in the
that word?
60s be up there. You be like,
Like,
you're
what's
cooking
that word?
too.
But we go through different things. I'll use that word to kind of just pull out what are we talking about, and then from there we can start building on, because sometimes it's a boundaries issue. Sometimes we think we have these great boundaries, and we've worked on these boundaries, but we really find out that that's really not.
Mm,
You kind of pull that boundary back when it comes to your children. You set that boundary, but when they come up and ask for A, B, C, or D, that boundary just goes by the wayside. So there's different aspects that we have to work on depending on, where, where she is in her journey. Um, and I also say this for myself when I talk about the reprogramming, I am not a counselor, I'm not a therapist. So when I say the reprogramming, I know for me, um, it started because my journey was, not just the physical menopause, but it was also the spiritual, changing of
mm,
my own mind.
mm,
So mine was a lot of at night going to sleep, different types of meditation. And
yeah.
that's what worked for me, because there was that programming that I had to change in order to start moving in the direction I wanted to move in for, this next chapter, this next season of my life. So that's just a little bit of what I do and how I try and help these women who are like, what's next? What I don't even know who I am anymore. How do I get to that point where I know who I am and what I want for this next chapter of my life?
I love that. I love that. And I love how one of the things that I love about being a coach is that a lot of the rules don't apply. Um, yes, moral and ethical, you should have those rules.
Oh yeah.
However, we are allowed to bend and fit into the client's life, right? You are a helpmate. I'm walking aside, like we're walking alongside each other. We are
Mhm.
really here to I'm your whiteboard. Give me everything you got. And we
Right.
help each other organize what's going on, because sometimes what you say out your mouth may trigger me and
Yeah.
make me think about a time or even what I'm going through right now, and have to process this with you. These different rituals that we're learning how to do together, these different modifications that we're making in our lives, and really breaking down the misconception of what aging has to look like, right?
Yeah.
Because there's so many things that we're taught, not even verbally, about
Right.
aging, that we take into life with us. And when we hit that number, if we don't have that thing, if we haven't accomplished that moment, if we're not fitting into the stereotype, somehow we've lost in life. We didn't make it that far. And
Right.
so I love how you're saying, hey, listen, where you are is not where you have to stay. And if you
Right.
love where you are, how can we help you grow in this space right here? How can we make this a fruitful space for you? And if
Right.
you don't like where you are right now, let's figure out what are the things that you don't like, and are they things that you don't like or things you were told that you don't like?
Yes.
You
And
know?
that's a very good point right there, because there are a lot of things that we've been told. And one of the things that came to mind is we're taught to shrink ourselves in order to make other people comfortable, and especially, men, we are
Yeah.
taught to shrink. I am very thankful and grateful and lucky that I have a husband who has never been that type of man who wants me to shrink. He wants me to shine. He
Mhm.
wants me to be as big and as, out there as I can be. But and I'm sure there's a lot of men out there, so I'm not saying that they're
Yeah,
not,
no, no,
but
no, no, no.
society as
This
a
is not an all
whole,
men statement. Before y'all
no,
go get to
not
know
at
me.
all.
Not
Not
at
at
all.
all.
Not at all. I
Not
know
at
some
all.
great men. I also know some women who don't want to see you shine. And it be people close to you
Girl,
who will
girl.
block your blessing in a heartbeat if they can. You're like, what the hell are you doing? I thought we
Exactly.
were friends. Oh, we're friends as
Exact
long as I'm living the life you want me to live and not the life that I want to live.
Right,
Got it. Okay. I got it. Check that. All right.
right. But yeah, we're taught to shrink. We are
Yeah.
taught to, we're here to,
People
be
please.
that helpmate, which we are. Okay. We're here to, stand behind in the background. And I think, and we talked about this a little earlier offline, but I think that the next generations that are coming behind us don't look at it that way. And that brings my heart joy.
Mm-hmm.
That these young girls are saying, I'm going to stand on my own 2 feet and I'm going to do what makes me happy. And if I find a partner that, wants to come along for the ride, wonderful. But Gen X and, our parents, we were taught to stay in the background. We are the ones responsible for, you know, taking care of the household. You don't need to go out and work. And like you said, we talked about, a woman having a checking account or bank account by herself without a husband, she wouldn't survive if she didn't get married. And those things aren't true anymore. So as a Gen Xer, we have to get out of that belief that we have to have someone helping us and taking care of us and making sure that we don't make other people uncomfortable with our boldness and with our energy. And that's what I definitely don't want women in our age range to feel, that they have to continue down that path.
No, 100%. And I love that one of the things that I thought was very connecting in our story is that we both have had, we're married and we're happily married, right? And I tell people all the time, me and my husband have been together since we're 13 and 14. The craziness that's happened since 1990. I wouldn't even lie to you and be like, and everything has always been great, because it wasn't. Because
Right,
you don't get together at such that young age. You don't even know who you are.
right.
Even in your 30s, you're still trying to figure it out.
Yeah,
At 50, I'm still trying to figure it out, but I just have a more cohesive way of, or more therapeutic way of looking at life now. So everything isn't on fire at the same time as it is in your teen years and your 20s,
right, right,
the 20s. But really just being married and learning how to love you and like you as a person, while on
yeah,
the same road to loving and liking another person. That builds a lot of character, because we
right,
become these different variations of ourselves as we age. And that could be 3 or 4 times in the same year. It could be, the depending on the month and how many wigs I've had on. I don't know. It just depends. But I'm very honest in that space where I love that you not only enjoy being with your partner, but you guys are learning how to, or continuing to walk together and put both each other in a space where no one has to dim their light in order to shine.
right.
Right.
Exactly.
And I
Mhm.
feel like a lot of women, especially as they're having these new transformations, not only mentally, because some of us have been transforming for so long, but we were afraid to step out and be seen
Yes,
as somebody different than the person we've always been at church, or the person we've always been at school, or the person we've always been in our communities.
right.
But you're saying, like, listen, whoever you are right now, and I love that you said, and I meant to say something earlier when you said, I don't want you to blow up your life. Like, you can
Yeah.
still have your life and just enrich that life.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
My husband and I have been it's funny because I met my husband at 13, but we didn't start really dating until our 20s. We went our own separate ways. I knew him through mutual friends and blah, blah, blah. But, so we've been married 30 years, been together over probably about 35, 36 years. So, but he has always been the one who's, like, pushing me,
Mm,
because he's a musician, so he's already always out there and doing his thing. But it was also interesting when you said earlier about, how we started our podcast, and it wasn't from how we it wasn't from lack of self-esteem that we didn't wanna be in front of a camera. I have to admit, mine was lack of self-esteem. Mine was the fear of, okay, I get out there and what if they don't like me? What if, what if what I'm saying doesn't resonate with a lot of people? What if, I get comments on there, how am I going to, so mine was a lack of self-esteem before, being in front of any camera, even taking pictures. I was like, I don't want to take no pictures. I'm good. But with my husband, being so encouraging
yes.
and knowing that he couldn't be beside me every step of the way, he still, "You got it, babe. This looks great." Listens to all the podcasts and, makes his comments and stuff like that. So, um, having that having that type of partner who is really encouraging this whole endeavor has really helped me even grow more in my own transformation, as his partner and his wife and all those good things. So,
No, I love that. And
yeah,
look, mine wasn't self-esteem as much as mine was what am I gonna say, right? Because
mhm.
I'm not a shock value speaker, like, and I'm
Same
not a
here. Yeah.
trendy speaker.
No.
So when you're not a shock value speaker and you're not a
Right.
trendy speaker, it's like, well, what do you say? And I'm like,
Right.
most of the women that I know, we just have regular, real conversations. We
Right.
genuinely look to each other for like, this is what I'm going through right now. And it's not that the other person has to be going through it, but like, can you give me some real life advice so that I could
Right.
make it to the next day? I'm not, I don't have $50 million to make this work out. So since that's not the case, what can
Right.
we do? Or even just finding levity and connection and laughter and joy, even in the hard times, because perimenopause will have you laughing and crying. Menopause have you laugh, crying, and smacking. Now you're just trying to figure out how to. I'm like, I'm good. Are you really good? I don't know. Like,
Right. Right. Oh, girl. Well, that's a whole nother topic. Oh, yeah.
but I think that that's also a part of, and we spoke about this a little bit. You had a guest on your podcast you were talking about, but just talking about sexuality and your intimacy, your
Right.
stance on intimacy as
Right.
you get older, when your body is changing, your partner's body is changing, what it looks like, not only to have sex, but to figure out what changes you need to make and how
Right.
you need to alter which the idea of what intimacy looks like as you get older, and also grieve that old body and that old stamina that, because
Right.
listen, it look different. I
Right.
can't just,
It's
you think
different.
you're like, I can do this, I want this.
Right.
You get a couple miles into it, you're like, hey, listen, finish up. I got a cramp.
Exactly.
I got a cramp in my hip. This ain't the same thing. What ain't doing it?
Exactly. No.
I'm like,
No, yeah,
I ain't. Oh,
absolutely.
I'm not young Trina no more. I'm older
Mm.
Trina. That's
Right.
what.
Right. And you have less patience on some things. You don't
Mhm.
feel like dealing with the bullshit. You don't have time for at least for me.
No, keep
Small
speaking.
talk sm
Mm.
small talk, no. I wanna talk about substance. I don't wanna have yeah, we can do the pleasantries, "Hi, how you doing?" But if you really don't have anything to say that, will make me think or make me look at something and say, I didn't think about it that way." Then, I don't wanna engage in petty conversations. Not anymore. I want substance, and I wanna be able to have a connection with, who I'm talking to.
No, I agree because some of it is aging because I feel like the older I get, my time is so valuable. It has equity now, right?
Right.
And so
Oh,
I'm trying to,
I like that. I
yeah.
like that. It has equity. My time has equity. Yes.
And so put that on a t-shirt. I'm gonna buy it. I don't have time to make the t-shirt, so somebody make a t-shirt, send it to us. We love it. But no, because you thought you were going to be 20 forever, and then you thought you were going to be in your 30s forever, and then 40s, and life is moving. And one of the things that I will say about aging, and the reason why I never lied about that, I know so many people who have passed away
Yeah.
early that
Yeah.
getting to 40, 50, 60, it's a privilege now. It's
Yes.
not guaranteed, and you don't know when your end is going to come. And
Right.
making the time that you have matter to you in whatever way. You may be a person who likes talking bullshit and you might like small conversation because that's how you get through life. Enjoy
Right.
that time, but like
Right.
learning how to, like you said, set boundaries. This is my boundary for conversation, or this is my boundary for connection. And
Mhm.
I not only do I have to hold myself accountable to the boundary so that you don't violate it. When you
Right.
violate it, I have to speak up so that you
Right.
learn. It's like, like, why do you keep hitting me? No, I don't like that. Don't
Right.
do it.
Don't
Stay
do it.
away. Yeah. Tasering myself, like, oh, so I'm not supposed, oh, right. I said I wasn't going to do that anymore. Like, okay, let me work on that. It's so different. So one of the things that we talked about in our one-on-one turned into like a one in a lot. Like we were having a great conversation in that space, but we were also talking about what it looks like to embrace the word no, and
Mhm.
what it feels like to say this is not for me, and it has nothing to do with you, but
Right.
everything to do with the values that I have set forth in the life that I want to live and how I want that to play out. Can you talk about that? She said,
No,
yeah, but let me fix it. Let
but
me fix-
no is
yeah.
a hard n no, saying no is hard. I'm not gonna lie. Saying no for most of us, not all of us, is hard, especially because we've been so used to saying yes to everything in order to keep that peace, make sure everybody else is comfortable. And I like to say that we need to learn to sit in other people's uncomfortableness. I know
Yes,
it's probably not a word, but we
it
need to
is.
learn to
Jesse
sit.
Jackson said it at one time. I'm
Okay.
sure it was. It's a word. I'm gonna use it. If Jesse Jackson said it, it's a word. It's
It's
just
a word. But we need to learn to sit in that, and we're not used to that, and, um, I think some of us are afraid, well, if I say no, then they won't like it, or they
mm,
might someone might get upset, but we have to learn to sit in other people's uncomfortableness, because if we don't, then we will never get past that hurdle of sticking to that no boundary, whatever that is. I always hear people say no is a complete sentence. And to some degree, yes, I agree with that. If I'm telling you no, I shouldn't necessarily have to give you an explanation. And if I choose to give you an explanation, which is fine too, I don't feel that I should have to over explain.
yeah.
I used to tell my friend who had a difficult time with, saying no. You don't, and especially, and I told her, especially to me, you don't need to over explain. If you say no, okay, I might not like it, but if you say no, then I'm going to respect it. And if you
Yes.
choose to give me an explanation, that's great, but you don't need to over explain anything to me. Your no means no, and I will respect that. I might have a little attitude with you lately, but yeah,
It may be you. It may
we'll
be
get over
me.
that.
Yeah, I'm
Huh?
like, I could have had a hot flash, and then you said no, and now I'm living off the hormones of the hot flash.
Right,
So many different reasons why the no didn't work out. But
right.
and I do agree with you with having that. I think for me, no became a full statement because I don't enjoy people pleasing, and I don't enjoy like water cooler talk. I'm not great at it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
start to look phony. Like I literally get that weird like it's just like let it go. I need to
Right,
walk away. And so
right.
I realized that for me, the no really was me talking to myself like, no, you don't have to do that. No, that's not comfortable for you. As much
Mm.
as it may feel like I'm saying no to the other person, it's really like a boundary set for me. It's just a reset, like, no.
Right.
Remember, we said we weren't going to do that anymore. So
Right.
if you say no, you're not going to show up at that event. You don't have to spend the next 40 minutes feeling guilty because you're not going to the event, which I think
Right.
that many of us have learned how to do. And as you get older, you have to decide if that's how you're going to live your life. I know I turned this phone down. I know it. It's okay. We live it in life. It's a live podcast. I don't know what to tell y'all. Um, no, but just really understanding that you don't have to feel guilty for protecting your peace. And we talked
Right.
about that too. Can you talk to us a little bit about what it looks like to kind of the pros and the cons of walking into a space trying to find your peace in the midst of aging and maybe
Mm,
even feeling a little bit of maybe shame or guilt in that space
yeah.
because we're so set on the people pleasing aspect of, or we've been again bred, because I refuse to be like taught. No, we're literally bred to think that this is the only way, and if not this way, you're some selfish woman
Right.
who's conceited and you don't care about anybody. And culturally, if you dig down into it, it gets real deep, real
Yeah. Yeah. I think when it comes to our peace, we don't know how to protect it because we weren't taught how to protect our peace. So, again, a part of walking in that peace, at least for me, has been feeling more comfortable with saying, this is what I want and this is what I need. I hope you're along for the ride. And if not, then we'll have to figure it out. And whether that's with your spouse, with your children, with your friends,
fast.
you've got to really stick to those boundaries and stick to how you want to function inside of this new person because we are that's it's a transformation. I like to say it's an awakening, it's a
Mm,
transformation, it's an
mhm,
evolution,
mhm.
whatever you wanna call it. But for me, this chapter of my life has been and I tell people, it's about my peace. Above anything else, this next chapter is about me having peace. And how I attain that peace it's different every day. Some days it'll be I'm not gonna get on, look at social media. Some days, like Mondays, I'm like going, I can't do anything because my brain has just shut down for whatever reasons. Mondays are not a great work day for me. But so some days it might be, you know what, I'm not going to do anything today. I'm just going to sit here and relax, whether it's meditating, whether it's reading a good book, whether it's just going out for a nice long walk. But finding that peace and not being ashamed of wanting that peace and doing what
Mhm.
it takes to attain that peace. Um, we have to learn how to not feel like we're letting everyone else down if we choose ourselves first.
Yes. Yeah.
And having peace in your life is a part of maybe letting people down because when you're trying to have that peace in your life and you're trying to do what really is speaking to you, there are gonna
Mhm.
be people that you let down because everybody's not gonna be on that same trajectory as you are. And it can be some of your closest friends, but you've got to figure out what that peace looks like.
Yes. Yes.
And each day, like I said, each day it might be different. Each day there might be something that you're like going, nope, today that does not feel like it's going to sit well with me, so I'm not going to do it. And it's hard. It really is hard and it doesn't happen overnight. Just like how we were trained to be a certain way, that
Mhm.
that has taken years. And so doing the untraining to get to a certain point in your life where, you feel like this is the direction I wanna go, this is my next chapter and how I want my next chapter to be, it's gonna take time and it's gonna take, um it has to be intentional. It's not something you can just do on the fly. It has to be intentional. And, and sometimes with that intention, you have to have someone along on that journey with you because sometimes you just can't do it by yourself. And I wish I would have had someone to help me along on that journey because it would have been a little bit easier.
And I think that's what will make you a greater coach and a greater helpmate so much because we
Yeah,
understand what the loneliness looks like. I
right.
always try to explain healing as a detoxification
Mm,
of the energy that's around you, right? Because
yes,
all of us, we are just balls of energy. We're
yes,
shaped energy, but we're all these different spirits and this energy that we're allowed to move around this earth and you can see. And there's energy that you can't see that affects how we
right,
go through our lives as well. And when you are on your healing journey, it can be one of the loneliest places because you genuinely have to start subtracting first before you can add anything in.
right.
And a lot of that has to do with family, friends, work, things
Yeah,
about yourself that you think are working that aren't working.
right,
And all of us, when we have these spaces where we have to start subtracting, we feel like we're letting someone down or we feel like we are less than because we don't have more. We're suffering from FOMO, even
yeah,
if it's just being able to be stronger or more resilient in the spaces that we're in. But when you are healing, that subtraction gives you such a graceful space to say, okay, when I add this one thing back in, I feel really good. But when I add this one thing
yeah,
back in, the anxiety kicks back in. Now I
yes,
can deal with this anxiety that's sitting here and figure out if it's anxiety that I've caused or anxiety that was pushed upon me. And how do I want that to be there? And so for me, I was like, peace is not a continuous thing. It's like peace and healing walk together so much
right.
because you'll be peaceful for 10 days and have a trigger that spirals you back down. And the work that Miss Parker is putting in and the work that I've put in, it's so that you don't stay down as long anymore. It doesn't mean
Right,
you don't go down. It means that you
right.
don't stay down for as long anymore. And can you talk to us about the community that you're building and how you're helping women work towards that um and just reclaiming who they are and being and understanding they're just these beautiful human beings who are allowed to be period because they deserve to.
Okay. So I do one-on-one coaching, but the one thing that I think it's really more in my heart is, my Reclaiming You. It's a membership, it's group coaching program, and it's honestly one of the things I am most proud of because I'm building it, um, directly out of everything I've lived through and everything I keep hearing from women in my community. So when women come into the Reclaiming You, I have a set, um, uh, topic that we talk about. We go through different healing practices. I give a little bit of homework, but not much because I don't want you to be overwhelmed. You already have a lot of things that you are dealing with throughout the day. So I don't want it to be something that's overwhelming, but I want to provide something that it's a continuous, through your day-to-day life that you can incorporate into your day-to-day life so you're constantly growing and you're constantly making those changes and reclaiming who you are. So within the Reclaiming You membership, there are 2 live group coaching conversations every month. I have personal growth exercises. There's digital resources because I want you to have real accountability. And also there's replays, workshop replays. So that's a part of the community and it's going to continue to grow. This is something new, so I'm sure it's going to continue to grow. Um, and let's see. Yeah, that's really about it for now. Like I said, it's growing. Um, but right now, I just really want to focus on women coming in and then being involved with the group coaching because I think again, when you have a group of women coming in and telling their story, you don't feel alone. You don't feel like, okay, it's just me going through this, and why do I feel like I'm having so much trouble and not understanding or not being able to move past this roadblock or this wall that I have put up. So I really think that women who come together and are able to grow together, it makes the community stronger and it makes you stronger as an individual woman, at least in my opinion. So that's one of the things I'm most proud of and I'm excited to really get it started.
I love that. And I think what I was most impressed by, there are not a lot of safe spaces for women to go
Mhm.
to be vulnerable and open and to connect with people who are going through the same trauma but not trauma bonded because that's different,
Right.
right?
Right.
When you are in a space where healing is the goal,
Right.
it looks different. You carry yourself different. It gives you energy to move throughout your day. And having a space where throughout the day, if you need a hit of serotonin that really gives you like that good boost,
Right. Right.
have a place to go to and talk with and say, hey, I'm having a bad time right now. This is what's going on. And then being able to have that community and that intentional feedback that
Right.
not only has I always say I love assertive women, not particularly aggressive. Assertive
Mhm.
women still talk to you with love and kindness and patience, but
Right.
they know who you are and they know what you said you wanted to do and they are there to make sure that that thing gets done. And so that's what I really love about what you're putting together because you're saying, "Hey, I'm going to hug you, but I'm also going to shake you to make sure that you
Right.
accomplish what you set out to do. And
Right.
here are the tools that you need to do it."
And I think that's important for women to realize that the journey that you're on, this next journey, it's not necessarily gonna be hard, but you're gonna have to be intentional about where you're going and what you want and how you're gonna get there. Because it's not gonna just like with you getting your education, being in a relationship, having a career, it's intentional. You take the good with the bad and you bring it together and you figure out, okay, how do I get to this next step? And that next step might be an easy one, but the next one might be a little more complicated, a little more difficult. So we do have to remember that each one of these steps, each one of these journeys that we're taking, it's not gonna always going to be easy, and it's not gonna necessarily always be quick. Um, and the one thing I do like about the age of the women that I'm, dealing with and helping is that they, for the most part, understand that it's not a quick fix.
Mhm.
They're not in the generation of "I want it now, let's fix it now,"
Yeah.
because this is a journey. This is not what do they say? This is not this is a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Yeah.
And it's going to take time, and you have to give yourself grace, and you got to give yourself love, and
Mm.
the understanding that it's going to take some time to change what my beliefs have been and who I am as a woman and where I'm going and becoming. Because we're always becoming, we're always changing and evolving and hopefully learning something new throughout throughout your journey.
No, I love that. And I see great things for you because I I can feel your intentionality behind it, right? I think that in this it's interesting when you start working towards becoming certified as a coach and receiving your certifications in all of these different spaces because you do get addicted to learning and because you genuinely want to help people
Right.
grow. You start seeing coaches from everywhere and you're like, well, how am I going to stand out and be different? And what
Right.
makes my thing something that people walk into? And it's you. It's the letter that you're writing and the letter that you're leaving for other people to see how you walk through your life, how honest you are about the things that you've been through, but what your success looks like in a genuine way that doesn't make people feel like you're rubbing it in because
Right.
somebody's going to take offense to your happiness. In this day and age, baby,
Hey,
you're like, I just said I was happy. Like,
right,
why
right,
are you happy? Nobody should be happy. You're like, whoa, fix it, fix it. But just seeing how you are saying, not only you're like, this is what I needed
right,
as I was transforming, as I was going through this transformation that I finally gotten to. And here's how we can help each other move a little more gently through this stage of life.
right.
And to me, that's beautiful because it's damn hard trying to figure it out. Like, you're like, is anybody going to say, do I make a right or a left? Just tell me
Right,
what I'm supposed to do.
right.
And that's what you're doing. And I hope you're proud of yourself for even like getting this far because when we're used
And
to
it,
doing the work, we don't say I am.
right. And I do have to admit, sometimes I look around, I'm going, okay, am I making a difference? And then I have to, and even me, I'm still, and that's what I say, we're always still growing. We're always still transforming. And for people who, for those who think, "Oh, yeah, I've learned everything I can learn." No, I don't believe that. We don't stop learning until we are 6 feet under. That's when we stop the learning, but until then, I really have to catch myself and catch that feeling like, "Okay, am I doing enough?" Because, yes, this has been, a year and some change, putting this business together and doing this, and it's been a journey, and I've enjoyed every moment of it. I have to admit I've enjoyed every moment of doing what I'm doing, so I see great things, and I'm ready to push forward and, you know, continue this journey.
I love this. So tell everybody where they can find you, talk about your podcast, where is your podcast being
Okay.
streamed. Let us know where they can, reach out and figure out how to get in contact with you to even see. Like sometimes you can just figure the first step is acknowledging that you need somebody, which is the
Right.
hardest part. And then after
Right.
that,
Right. Right. So, I am on YouTube at Unapologetically 50 plus, and that's PLUS. I couldn't get the number. I couldn't get the plus sign on that one. So, Unapologetically 50 plus, PLUS on YouTube, actually on all my platforms, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn.
mm,
So those are the main areas that I'm at. Or you can email me at Angela at unapologetically50plus.com. I have my website, unapologetically 50 plus. So all of them. Unapologetically 50 plus.
I,
PLUS.
she said, don't hit the plus sign. No,
No, don't hit the plus sign. You
it's
won't
going to throw
find
you
me.
somewhere and you supposed to be coming to me. I don't know
Right.
who they are. I don't know who
Right.
they are.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I've enjoyed this conversation. I enjoyed our first conversation, and I was like, when after we got off the phone, and I always talk to my husband about the person that I spoke to, and he was like,
Uh-huh.
he said, "You look real peaceful." I said, "It's nice to talk to somebody who's excited, but like is in a pocket where they just feel so good about what's going on. That just
Yeah.
that's a different space to be in,
Yeah.
and it it feels spiritual, but not in the way that everybody always thinks. Because
Yeah.
sometimes spiritual just feels like a good shower. It feels like putting your feet in water. It's like, oh, this is gonna be so good, man. It's like out. And so I love when I get to talk to people who help relax the energy around you. And that's what you do so well. You
Oh,
help
thank
relax
you.
the energy around me. And I'm like, okay, all right.
Ah,
Just
oh,
saying.
thank you.
So I thank you so much for being a part of the podcast. Please keep
Thank
us
you.
updated as your community grows, because there's so many of us who need sisterhood and we
Yeah.
need connection and community.
Yes.
And that
Yes, we
makes
do.
all the difference in the world.
It does. I totally agree. I've enjoyed, talking to so many women and you as well, because like you said, we found each other on LinkedIn. I saw you on LinkedIn and I saw that you were, looking for folks. I was like, okay, well, what the heck? Let me try.
And
And
I
it
was
was
so
great.
grateful. I'm like, you want me? I don't know.
Well, thank you for having me on. This has been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. And we'll talk to you guys soon. So did you enjoy Miss Parker? Miss Angela Parker. I enjoyed her so much. Honestly, I love when I get to talk to somebody who's in tune with who they are, good, bad, right, and different, right? And I think that when we are in spaces where we get to talk to people who are not only walking the walk, but they're talking the talk, like they're working on healing too. And that's why I started Healing Through Conversations, because we have to have all of these beautiful conversations and be connected and talk to each other and laugh and have those tough conversations that nobody wants to have. But at the same time, we both were receiving so much energy and positivity and connection that you get to see how far you've come in your healing journey when you talk to another person who's on their healing journey, and you guys get to like have coffee and tea and like sit down and have those deep moments together. And I feel like that is beautiful. Not only that, the fact that she is creating a community of women who are there to support each other, do these different transitions in life. And these are just legacy building transitions, right? Yes, you may have gone through a divorce, but you've learned so much about relationships and you're going to learn so much about yourself. You may be an empty nester, learning who you are outside of the title of mom and still loving the title of being called mom. Like that is absolutely beautiful. And just also realizing that if you are still single in your 40s, 50s, and 60s, 70s, your life is fruitful with a partner and without a partner. And that is so important for so many women to learn about themselves. I appreciate you guys for being a part of this podcast. We're in season 9, y'all. It's insane. It really is insane. Season 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 11, 12. Anyway, so I will talk to you guys soon. Remember, we're learning how to articulate our feelings, wants, needs, and desires so we can better advocate for ourselves and the people that we love. And I love you guys. Lovely. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you found some healing, connection, and joy. Until next time, bye, loves.